course, coming up Sunday in London, Ravens-Titans, and you can't say the words Ravens-Titans without thinking about our next guest. The best receiver, frankly, in the history of both of those franchises. He, of course, now is with 102.5 The Game down in Nashville. He is our friend, Mr. Derrick Mason, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Mace, it's Glenn. It's so good to catch up, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Anytime. Just sitting in the airport right about now.
Yeah,
So,
you're getting
like,
ready
been
to.
delayed a little.
I heard you were headed over the pond. Have you been over there for a game before?
No, I haven't. So I'm looking forward to just spending a few days over there and doing a few things with both the Ravens flock as well as the Titans.
That's cool, man. That's a really cool. I mean, I guess there's worse ways to make a living these days than to be like hanging out with fans in London ahead of a game. That doesn't seem so bad at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens.
This is the important question, Mace. If needed, after the performance of the Ravens wide receivers last week, if like in the second quarter they're dropping 4 balls again, could we maybe pull you down, get you dressed? Would you still be able to help out at all at that point?
I can go for maybe one comeback
Hey,
and a
bro.
hit drop. Maybe that's it.
Hey, bro. Knowing how you ran them, I'm taking them. I'm taking them at this point. Oh, that was rough for us last week. That was a rough display, and of all games, the Steelers game to be when you're betrayed by your hands. Oh, it's brutal. Mace, on the flip side, I know the Titans come into this one off a tough loss. It feels very Jekyll and Hyde right now with the Titans, right? Like, how would you describe their inconsistencies coming into this game?
I think a lot of it boils down to the offensive line. The offensive line is the Achilles heel of this offense. Not having Nicholas Petit Prayer because he's suspended the first 4 games was a big loss. And then you're trying to work in the first round pick, Peter Skoronski, who had an emergency surgery, so he missed a few games. And Dillon hasn't been the the player they thought he would possibly be when they got him in free agency. So right now, this offensive line is a work in progress. They played a little bit better last week, but yet still, this has been their Achilles heel. This is a team that loves to run football, and they haven't been able to run it effectively all season.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it fair to still say that this is a team that goes as far as their run blocking and Derrick Henry can take them?
Yeah, because if you look at it, Ryan Tannehill is one of the best play action quarterbacks in the National Football League over his 5 years with the Titans. And when he can't get that run game going, then that play action is non-existent. They got a few shots last week, DeAndre Hopkins, and he made a few big plays, but they were not able to get enough, and they would get that run game going the way that they thought against a Indianapolis front that were missing, one of their key players is Shaq Leonard. Forrest Buckner was beat up, so they only had one of their true top players, and that was Franklin. But they still managed to keep the Titans running game in check.
Well, I'm hoping that continues. No offense. I'm just hoping that's the case. He's Derrick Mason. He's with us here on GCR. Mace, you bring up Ryan Tannehill, right? And, of course, the Titans spent an early round draft pick on a quarterback, and whenever that happens, there's always going to be whispers and questions that are going to be asked. Hey, if there's a couple of bad weeks, are they looking to make a move? Where are they at with both Ryan Tannehill and Will Levis? Is it like a goal for Levis to play? Is the idea that, hey, no, we stay in this thing all season? We don't want to see him on the field. This is still Ryan Tannehill's team.
I think this is still Ryan Tannehill's team. I don't think they envision, either quarterback, either one of the young quarterbacks, Will Levis or Malik Willis, who really played well during the preseason. Malik Willis did, and Levis, he was hurt, so he didn't get the opportunities that I'm sure he wanted. But even coming into the season, I think their plan was to stick with Ryan Tannehill, and because he gives them the best opportunity to win. So unless this team goes on a 4 or 5 game losing streak, I can't see them putting either Will Levis or Malik Willis in the game. So it's all this division isn't a really good division. So
That's fair.
as long as they can stay in it, then Ryan's going to remain the quarterback.
The receivers area, you know a thing or two about, obviously. I guess specifically DeAndre Hopkins, we had heard that the Ravens maybe were poking around in the offseason, and they decided to go with Beckham. What have the Titans gotten from DeAndre Hopkins? Where is he at this point in his career?
I think they've gotten what they expected to get. I think the problem is that Traylon Burks has been hurt, even when he's been on the field. He's dropped a lot of balls. He's been a 50-50 catcher, which I didn't expect, but it's happened this year. Now, he's dealt with some injuries as well. He dealt with knee injury early in camp, without a few weeks, tried to give it a go the first 2 or 3 games of the season. And I'm sure he was affected by it, but he didn't play last week. He may not play this week. So they were looking for Traylon to be their big play guy and D-Hop to be that intermediate guy. But right now, because of Traylon isn't playing the way they want him to, D-Hop has become the number one guy, but he's not getting the numbers down the field that he used to. He's doing work underneath. He'll make some big catches here and there, but this offense doesn't have any explosiveness, from the receiver position at this point in time.
Well, let me go to the other one, which is tight end. Of course, the former Terp, Chigakonkwo. We thought maybe he was primed for like a breakout, kind of turn towards stardom season, and he's barely been involved. What's been going on there?
It's the same thing with what you mentioned, at the beginning with the Ravens receivers. They're dropping balls. Chigakonkwo, who I was high on coming into camp because he's one of those guys that can give you explosive plays, but he hasn't given it to you. He's dropped way too many passes. He's doing something comfortable at times out there. He caught a few last week, but it wasn't what they expected. So he's been a slow start, and that contributes to their passing game being inept at this point in time, and they just can't consistently generate big plays. As you know, this game is about big plays.
No doubt.
Many teams methodically moving the ball down the field anymore. You got to get you some big plays here and there, and the Titans just haven't gotten it.
Mace, the defense, we saw them put up like a brilliant performance against the Bengals, and I know the Bengals maybe weren't quite fully right yet, but I don't know. What is this Titans defense at this point? Like in moments, it seems like they're capable of being really good. In other moments, they seem pretty susceptible.
Well, it's a defense that if the defensive line is playing the way that we know they can play, which is a dominant front, then the defense is okay. If they're not, then it exposes the back end. They have a real serious problem at the corner position. Bolton, whether one point is injured and then he is not injured, he's giving up big plays down the field. They got a young guy in Roger McCreary who's pretty good, but he's still learning the game. He's probably their most solid defensive back, but they're having trouble across the board. The back end is not playing well. The two safeties, and it's uncharacteristic of a secondary led by Kevin Byard that they're playing the way that they're playing. So if that defensive line isn't, stout like we have come accustomed to seeing them, then that back end suffers because, I said the offensive line was Achilles heel. Well, on defense, it's the secondary.
That's interesting, and hopefully for us allows an opportunity for the Ravens to maybe get going after a disappointing week. Mace, if I could, on this side of things, I mentioned the Ravens' problems with drops, but this is now 2 games the Ravens have had this season where they have played a team that was pretty clearly inferior to them and either played down to their level or just kind of fell apart when they faced some adversity. How surprised have you been by a team that has so much going for them that they have been so up and down this season, the Ravens?
I'm surprised. A little bit can be, he's still trying to get used to him. He's still trying to get used to Zay Flowers. He's still trying to get used to Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
Odell has dealt with injuries, this year as well. So, he's only played, 3 of the 4 or 5 games that the Ravens have had. So they need to start building that rapport with him as well. But last week, I just thought they had too many drops.
It's insane.
They had 2 drops in the end zone for clear touchdowns by guys. Frankly, Andrews, you never see him drop a ball, but he dropped 2 in that game. One was for a touchdown. and then Bateman, I believe, had another go right through his hands in the end zone. So I think Lamar, majority of the times, is playing well, but you can't have those drop passes in games, especially against Pittsburgh Steelers. You
Have
can't have it.
Have you ever seen a day where like somebody drops a ball and you're like, wow, was that so and so? You know, was that Heap? Was that? And then it just sort of became contagious. Like, did you ever have a day like that where like for whatever reason it like almost became mental?
Oh yeah, I remember a game like that against Cincinnati where it was one drop and another, and I'm like, what's going on here? You know, myself and other guys uncharacteristic drops, and it happens in games. And what you got to do is come out the next game and get back to your old self and
Right.
catch the football. And Lamar is going to continue to go at those guys, especially Andrews. Andrews dropped the ball. He doesn't care. He's going to go back
Right.
and go wide because Andrews catches more than he will ever drop.
Right. Yeah, it is Mark Andrews that we're talking about. That's a good one. I almost wonder if, like, coming out of the shoot on Sunday, you purposely in your first drive try to get the ball to like every receiver on the team, just to like get some good vibes going again, like wash
Yeah,
it
you
out.
have to. You got to keep those guys engaged. You got to keep them a part of the game. And I know just because they had a few drops, that's not going to deter, Lamar from going back to him.
All right, Derrick Mason. What else is going on in your world, man? Anything else that we can plug for you, brother?
Nothing much. Just I have my Men Wear Pink campaign for breast cancer.
Yep.
So you can go to the Men Wear Pink website and search for my name and donate. So we're just trying to raise as much awareness and money for those who have dealt with or are dealing with breast cancer. Because now it's not only women, but it's men that have that can have breast cancer as well. So any and everything we can do on my end here in Nashville, I try to do it. And, Raven fans are listening. Just go to menwearpink.com. menwearpink.org, and search my name and donate.
That's awesome, man. We love that you continue to do that. And, of course, you can find him at DEE Mason, DMason85 on Twitter. Derrick Mason, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, brother. Thank you for taking the time. Enjoy the trip overseas, dude.
Anytime, you know that.